Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Facebook Live and, of course, in Miracles. And today we're going to be talking about the call for faith. Is there something going on in your life right now that you know you wish you had a lot more faith that it's going to be resolved, that the answer is going to come, that the healing is going to come? So today we're going to talk about the issue of faith. Okay, but before we do that, we're going to start out with our theme song, which is I'm Not a Victim of the World I See. This is a workbook lesson from A Course in Miracles that's being sung by my friend John Christmas, and you can get this music at www.johnchristmas.com. You can download it for free. So let's get centered right now. Here we go. Victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of this world I see. I'm not a victim, no, I'm not of the world I see. You're not a victim of the world you see. I'm not a victim of my mom, I'm not a victim of my pa, I'm not a victim of even circumstance at all. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. That's what's happening right now. It's what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of the future. I'm not a victim of the past. I'm a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim, neither are you, of the world I see. You're not a victim of the world you see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. And that includes the really good stuff. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. Oh no. So take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. Tell yourself, I'm not a victim of this situation that I'm in right now. Take a moment to say that to yourself. I'm not a victim of the situation that I'm in right now. Tell yourself. Tell yourself, I'm not a victim. I know that I'm dealing with this situation. I know I'm dealing with this challenge. But tell yourself, I'm not a victim though. I'm not a victim of it. Take a second to tell yourself, you're not a victim of it. That situation that's troubling you right now, that relationship that's troubling you right now, you're not a victim of it. This is Earl Purdy. I want to welcome my mighty companion. We are going to be, today, we're going to be on the call for faith on page 367 in the Course in Miracles text, the Foundation for Inner Peace version, page 367, the call for faith. It's section 7 in chapter 17. Chapter 17 is forgiveness and the holy relationship. Section 7 is the call for faith. It's on page 367, page 367. So we're going to be on the call of faith. We're going to be on page 367. And I want you to think of a person that you, or a situation that you're in that you need some faith right now, that you really need to change your perception of and have faith in. We're going to be on page 367 in the Course in Miracles text, the blue book, and the section is called the call for faith. Now, I want you to remember that you don't have to believe the ideas, you don't have to accept the ideas, you don't have to welcome the ideas, and that some of the ideas you may actively resist, some of the ideas you may actively resist. some of the ideas. Some of the things that the Course in Miracles says may startle you. Some of the things that the Course in Miracles says may be startling to you. But what is the one thing you need to remember is that you are not being asked to judge and analyze the ideas. So what is it that's going to show you that the ideas are true? Using the ideas in the Course in Miracles will show you that the ideas in the Course in Miracles are true. If you use the ideas in the Course in Miracles, you will see that the ideas in the Course in Miracles are true. If you do what? If you use the ideas instead of analyzing the ideas, then you will see that the ideas work and the ideas are true. So we're going to be on the Call for Faith, page 367 in the text. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the paragraph 7 right before the Call for Faith, in that section right before the Call for Faith. All right. Okay. Do you know that the first sentence in paragraph 6, right above the Call for Faith, the last paragraph before the Call for Faith section begins, you have the goal of truth, and the Course says the truth is love. That you have the goal of being happy. You have the goal of finally having complete peace. But if you want to have the truth of any situation, if you want to have the truth right now, what is it that the Course in Miracles says that is required? Faith. To believe that God is love and I am love and there is only love and that I'm an eternal being and that I make my own perception and create my own reality. That I never die, that I can't be hurt, but I really am, that I'm a spiritual being. The goal of truth requires faith. So the minute you say that you are going to accept the purpose of love, the minute you say my purpose on the planet is happiness and joy and peace and love, that's the Holy Spirit's purpose, then faith is implicit in the acceptance of that purpose. The minute I say, Purdy, you want to really have a peaceful, loving life, then I got to have some faith, because temporarily I'm going to be seeing the way my situation already is, while I'm now focusing on the truth that I'd like to see and the love that I'd like to see. So just setting the goal of love, just setting the goal of truth requires faith, because you got to believe in it before you even begin to seek it. So what does it mean for this faith to be all-inclusive faith? What is all-inclusive faith? That means everybody. This faith is going to include faith in everything, faith in everyone. Because where the goal of truth is set, that's where your faith must be, which means my faith must be in the goal of truth. So when let's talk about faith, it's talking about us really wanting to recognize that beautiful, loving, innocent presence that we are and that we have. And so the Course in Miracles says the Holy Spirit sees the situation as a whole. That means that the loving mind looks at the whole situation. A loving person looks at the whole situation. Your right mind looks at the situation as a whole. So what does that mean, to be looking at the situation that you're going through right now? You really stay conscious more if you think of a situation or a person that you know you need to see differently. Then it makes more sense to pay attention to what I'm saying. If you can think about a situation in your life or where in your life you might not be feeling peace, and then apply it to them, because I got my area that I'm applying it to. So, do you know that the goal establishes the fact that everybody involved in the goal are going to play their part? So when I say that I have faith in the situation, does that mean that I've got to start to accept that whatever it is that's happening is all part of helping me achieve my goal? See, what he's saying is that the goal establishes the fact that everybody involved is going to play their part in the accomplishment of the goal. So once I say I want the truth, then I've got to accept that all of you are playing your part in helping me accept the truth, even if you're doing something I think I don't like. If still you're triggering me to focus in on the truth, then you're still helping me reach my goal of truth. So when you really start to heal people that you think upset you or things that are not going the way you think you would like them to go, I'm being stalked by God everywhere I go. God is there. So that means everybody's playing their part, which means everybody's giving you an opportunity to practice the truth on them and to use them as a lesson that God would have you learn. So once you say you want to know what truth is and what real love is, you have to accept the fact that everybody's going to be playing their part in getting you to get toward the goal of truth. This is inevitable. So if you're doing exactly what I need you to do to get me to learn the lesson that I need to learn, then you are not failing in anything. You are not failing in helping me achieve my goal. So that's what it means to me when it says no one can fail. It means no one can fail if your goal is the truth, because everybody is just another opportunity for you to meet the goal of truth and realize truth. So everybody's doing their part. No matter what they're doing, they're giving you opportunity to see it another way. Does that make sense to everyone, including me? Okay. See, there's a part of me that doesn't like an answer that doesn't entail everybody else serving me and doing exactly what I want them to do the way that I want them to. Okay, so let's just get that straight. I'm most attentive to any answer that makes you have to change and not me. Okay, so the mere fact that it's telling me that you could stay the way you are and still be helping me achieve my goal, the part of me that wants you to be different don't like that, because that means I have to see you different. So all of a sudden the responsibility is more on me, right? But if I say you need to change for me to be happy, it seems like I can feel justified in being upset with you, and you are the one that has to change. So therefore it doesn't look like I'm having to do very much. But if I read a book and it says, well, everybody is going to help you reach the goal of truth, and they're going to all play their part, because there are going to be opportunities for you to develop faith in the truth. He said they're not going to fail. And does the next line seem to be true? When he says, this seems to ask for faith that's beyond you. It doesn't, it's like, okay, it's asking me to have more faith than I have right now. I don't believe everybody's going to do their part, right? Then he goes, but this is from the viewpoint of your ego. So it's your ego that thinks that what you're being told to do is something you can't do. It's the part of you that is that is separate. The part of you that thinks it's separate. The ego is wrong-mindedness, and Holy Spirit is right-mindedness. And if you start to substitute that, you'll be amazed at how much easier it'll be for you to deal with the whole Holy Spirit thing if you got a problem with that. Okay, so wrong-mindedness would tell you this is calling for more faith than you can give. Because we believe in solving conflict through fragmentation, and we don't look at situations in terms of oneness and a whole. I love it. He says we like to split off segments of the situation and try to deal with it separately. I like to try to deal with you separately, because you know why I like to deal with all of you all separately? Because my faith is in separation, not in oneness. So we like to deal with everything separately, he says, because we are in our wrong mind. And so if you are confronted with any aspect of a situation that seems difficult, what do? He says, well, every time you all are confronted with a situation, you might be dealing with a situation that's difficult right now. And whenever you all deal with a situation that seems to be difficult, you attempt to take the difficult aspect or the difficult person elsewhere. You try to resolve the difficult situation separately, not away from God, away from the truth. I'm dealing with it on my own. I'm dealing with it separately. And the Course says you will think that you've succeeded when you deal with things separately, because it won't work, because dealing with everything as if it's separate is really conflicting with the idea that we are one and it's unity. And so the truth is, thinking that you got to deal with everything separately on your own, that belief that you have to deal with everything separately on your own actually hides the truth. I said it again. The idea that you have to do everything on your own and handle it by yourself on your own, it's hiding the truth that you don't need to do anything on your own, and everything could be done for you and with you through love and joy, through your right mind, the Holy Spirit. You really don't have to have any problems that you think you have whatsoever. But the idea that you have that you're the one that's got to solve it and handle it on your own hides the fact that you have help and you're not alone. It hides God. I went, wow, that's deep. That's deep. And so the ego says, analyze this. And I go, no. I know, Virgo. I know it's hard back there. I know. I understand telling a Virgo not to analyze it, like telling a Sagittarius who loves freedom to be a slave. It's like some things that go against our nature, you know. But the good part about Virgo is it rules discernment and discrimination. So it's good at sorting things out. So you can sort out the truth from the false, and then that's a positive way to use it. If some of you are like me, and when they tell you that your healing in the truth is based on giving up judgment, it sometimes makes it seem like it's something beyond what I can do, right? So then the Holy Spirit is brilliant. The right mind is brilliant. You know what the Course of Miracles does? It says, well, let me give you judgment that the right mind would have. Let me give you the judgment of the Holy Spirit. So I go, oh, you mean I can't judge these folk? Yes, you can judge, my son. You know, but God kind of has a Caribbean accent. But he says, you can. I want you to judge the way I would judge, which is to see them as great, big, intergalactic calls for love. See them as a call for God. See the people that you're tempted to judge and that you're upset with, see them as a call for God. See them as a call for love. See them as, judge that they're calling for help. Judge that people who are mean, cruel, selfish, unaware, asleep, project, blame. Look at all those people who are doing all those things as they're having a plaintive call for help in a world of misery. They're in misery and they're calling for help, and their call for help takes the form of robbery, attack, depression, blaming, being broke, getting sick, having accidents, all the things you see in the world that you don't like, that it looks like people are doing. What I want you to do is I want you to see it as a call for help, that they are actually just screaming. They might be calling you something out of your name, but what they're really saying is, help me, God. Help me. I want love. I want love. I'm afraid. I want love. I'm feeling guilty. I want love. I think I'm going to lose. Help me. That's what people are doing when they're cussing you out. That's what people are doing when they're robbing. That's what people are doing in any negative act that you see mankind doing at any level. There is no exception. They are calling for love. They're calling for help. They're calling for God. So that's the judgment I want you to use. Okay? So then, so for me, it looks like somebody just swung into the parking space I wanted, and I would say, you big old call for God. That's what I do. You call for God, and that call for God is taking the form of you appearing to take my parking space. See, that's the form. So first you tell the truth about it, then you say the form. I got a call for God. It took the form of me eating some ice cream, and I swore I wasn't going to eat any more ice cream. See, whatever you're doing is a call for God, And then whatever you're doing, the content is you're calling for God and you're calling for help. The form of what you're doing is just your latest way of calling for help. Right? One way I called for help was I had a backache. Then the next way I called for help is I can't pay my bills. Or the next way I called for help is I have a big problem in my relationship. You see what I'm saying? All day long, all we doing, just so we won't be bored to death, we just keep on thinking of a variety of ways to call for help. My car broke down, my boyfriend broke down, I broke down. You know what I'm saying? You know, to call for God, call for love. So that's what the Course is saying. We don't look at things as a whole, because if you notice, I was applying the same answer to every situation. So it was being dealt with as a whole. This applied to the whole. So the Course says, peace will not, I love it, he says, peace will not be experienced except in fantasy. When you haven't really solved the problem and you think you have, and it looks like you have peace with that person, but y'all upset again the next day, you did solve the problem in fantasy. You thought y'all had really healed. He says, but you experience, why? He says, because, first of all, you're not seeing each other as one. Remember, he said that the ego's answer will always conflict with unity. So it looks like this is coming back up for us again because we really didn't handle it from a perspective of unity and truth and oneness. We didn't really get the real solution. We probably just compromised. And do you know when you compromised, you still have resentment because you still didn't get everything you wanted out of the situation. So compromise really gives you the illusion of peace, the false idea of peace. I went, okay, that's the way the voice talks to me after 43 years. It just talks. And the book said that was going to happen. I don't talk about it much because people want to like put you in the hospital. You know, this is funny. It's like it's okay to say you believe in God, but then people think you're crazy if you say God's talking to you. And they're weird. It's like they want you to say I want to tune into a higher power. Then when you start saying you do, they go, Purdy's kind of going off the deep end there. You know. And the Course in Miracles says not only is there a creator, you all have forgotten how to communicate with it. That's why you go through so much stuff. You don't know how to communicate with the creator. The creator has a part of itself assigned to you. What you just say, Earl? God is a part of God that is assigned and a part of you. And it's directing you every moment of the day and telling you exactly what to do to be happy. The Course in Miracles is teaching you how to get rid of what interferes with you being able to hear the voice. It's also getting rid of what keeps you from knowing when the voice is true and when the voice is false. Now, you may not realize last week we covered setting the goal, and he says the purpose of deciding what you want to happen in advance. What's the good thing about deciding what you want to happen on that date in advance? Well, he says, well, you're going to see the date or the situation as an opportunity to make what you want to happen. So if you say you want peace with me, us being together right now is an opportunity for us to make that happen. Okay. Then how do we make that peace happen? He said, well, the way you make the peace happen is you overlook everything that would make you not be peaceful and make you focus on attack, and you concentrate on everything that would help you be peaceful with each other. So you start overlooking the stuff that would upset each other, and you start focusing in on the stuff that helps you achieve your goal of joining each other. So what's true is what helps you meet your goal, and then you're supposed to see as false whatever doesn't help you meet your goal. So a false relationship then, would that be a relationship that if my goal is peace and happiness and we are upset and hate each other and arguing all the time, be a false relationship? Yes. It's not a real relationship based on its goal. Now, your two bodies might be together, but it's not a relationship because you said your goal was peace and you all are fighting all the time. So that means that based on your goal, what's false is what's not helping you reach your goal, which is for you all to have a cool relationship together. That's your goal. So right now, you all are not concentrating on what help you reach that. So your relationship is false. Your relationship is unreal. And do you know because your relationship is unreal, that's why you can't depend on it? You can't depend on a relationship that you don't even know what the purpose of it is. So that's where the voice talks to me. It's like, then I can tell whether or not it's the voice I should listen to. How can I tell? See, I can tell whether or not it's the voice I should be listening to by how much what it's saying corresponds to what the Course in Miracles teaches. Because the purpose of the Course in Miracles was to teach me the difference between when I'm hearing something true and when I'm hearing something false. So I did that for years. And then when you do that for a certain at the time, you can hear the voice that's been talking to you all the time, but you couldn't hear it. So all of a sudden, I started to hear this voice that was telling me the same thing the Course was telling me, but with a lot more humor and a lot more way of communicating that made me feel innocent, right? So my Holy Spirit doesn't talk to me in the traditional ways. My Holy Spirit might say anything. So the Course in Miracles is saying to us that the truth hasn't come because you've been denying your faith in the truth. And so how do you deny faith in the truth? You withhold the faith where it rightly belongs. So where does my faith rightly belong? It belongs in the truth. My faith belongs in God. So truth hasn't come because my faith hasn't been placed in what it rightfully should be placed in, which is the truth. I want the truth, I want God, I want love. I want truth, I want God, I want love. They're the same thing. I want truth, I want God, I want abundance, I want oneness. It hasn't come to me because I haven't been putting my faith in the truth. I don't know about you all, but I've been putting my faith in how well I can learn things that would help me make other people different so that they'd be the way I wanted them to be, so I would be happy. I used to get up every morning thinking about how I could get people to serve me all day, but I didn't call it that. I called it what I thought I'd like to experience today from the people that I know, right? So the truth is, that's not what I should be putting my faith in, because if I make my happiness dependent on you all being the way that I want you to be, and you put your faith in me being the way you want, me being the way that you want me to be, we're never going to have any kind of consistent happiness. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm probably not going to do what you want me to do all the time. So if you make your happiness dependent on me doing what you want me to do, then you're pretty much guaranteeing you're not going to be happy. Now, the thing that's such a trip in relationships is that we set those jokers up as if we're going to do that for the other person. In the beginning, we're telling them how much we want to do exactly what they want in order to be happy. You know, that it's all about, at that point, y'all have agreed to serve each other. So, you have the illusion of peace in the relationship. Just like you said, y'all didn't have faith in the truth. You had faith in acting out each other's scripts. So your relationship was giving you the illusion of love from the very beginning. I went, wow. So he says, so truth hasn't come because faith has been denied. What does that mean? You're withholding your faith from where your faith rightfully belongs. Where does your faith rightfully belong? On the goal of truth. Your faith should be in God. Your faith should be in the truth. Then it says, fantasy solutions bring only the illusion of experience. So when you come up with a solution that's not real, then you just have the illusion for a while that you were successful. Like I said, we didn't really solve the problem in our relationship. We really didn't go to the truth. We handled it in a way that wasn't based on the truth, so our happiness didn't last 24 hours. Wow. So are you telling me, Spirit, that even before talking to a person that I want to heal with, I need to remind myself that they're one with me? I need to come from a perspective of unity, that even before we talk about the issue between us, in my mind, I need to see you as me, and I need to see you as connected with me, and not as somebody separate I've got to overcome to get to see how I see things my way. You said before I even start talking to them, yeah, what you want to do is you got the goal of truth. So if you got the goal of truth, then you got to concentrate on what the Course in Miracles of your truth book is telling you to do. And you got to overlook everything you learned from the world and everything you learned from the past and everything you learned from your ego. You got to overlook what doesn't help you reach your goal, and nothing that the world of fear and guilt has ever taught any of us is going to help us reach the goal of unconditional love. There's not one single thing anybody that knows the truth, and there's not one single thing that anybody that doesn't know the truth is going to do that's going to ever bring them any kind of lasting peace. So if I want to have lasting peace, I got to start to overlook the things that would give me the peace that don't last, right? So blaming you, that's not going to work if my goal is truth and my goal is peace. Attacking you, that's not going to work because that's not in alignment with the goal of truth. And so once I decide that my goal is God, or truth, then anything that's not directing me in that direction is false by definition, and it doesn't have any value to me whatsoever, and it's actually delaying my goal of knowing the truth and being happy. So sometimes when I want to make the biggest leaps in consciousness, I have to give myself a lot of solitude, because frankly, I don't want to hear what most people are going to say to me, because they're going to be talking in terms of the way I used to think. But now I'm going to the next level that I think on. And that's going to keep happening as long as you're on the path. Then all of a sudden you realize, as much as you love them, everybody around you is not saying to you what you want to hear right now in terms of what you're learning. So sometimes in the beginning, you have to give yourself solitude so that you can give you the thoughts that you want without any kind of opposition at all. So you just get the truth pure. Does that make sense? Right. When I study the Course, I get it pure, because I'm not doubting it like most people, or wondering what it's saying, or not totally for me. So I just slurping it up, and it makes me feel good, because it gives me answers. He says, if you have the illusion of peace, if you have a peace that's not real peace, that's not the condition in which truth can enter. Truth is not going to enter. So what are you saying to me, boys? What are you saying? I'm saying that you all keep wanting peace, love, and you all keep wanting abundance and love and truth and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, it's not going to arrive until you give yourself some peace. You all think that all the good stuff is going to arise out of your fear and your anger and your attack. He says, peace is the condition that truth enters. Love, I want to be in love and in a love relationship with the person that's peaceful to be with. You know, I want to be in a loving relationship with someone who appreciates me. I have no more time to get in relationships that most of the time in the relationship you're using it to try to change each other instead of enjoying each other. So you're spending all your time trying to get them to be a way you want them to be, and they're trying to. So that, I keep saying it because the Course says relationships are the cheap way we keep ourselves from being happy. He said the main way you all keep yourselves in misery is the way you all do relationships. The book just straight up said, he said, the way you all do relationships, you use relationships as a weapon to whoop the crap out of each other. Y'all beat each other. Your relationship, picture your relationship as being a club in your hand and beating you. That's what y'all use. It's the chief weapon y'all use to keep you from happiness, because it's the main way you make yourself feel guilty and angry. You come home at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're single, you don't feel no guilt. You come home at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're in a relationship and partnering with you, whatever. In some cases, what happens? Guilt. You feel guilty about so many more things that you do when you're in a relationship than you feel about doing those very same things if you weren't in a relationship. Don't you agree? There are certain things you do and you're not in a relationship and you feel totally innocent. And then, so my point is, the idea of a relationship is for me to get in touch with the freedom that I really am and the love that I really deserve. So that means if I want the truth in a relationship, then that means that we need to understand that we got to have peace with each other if we want the love to come. If we want the real love to come, we got to have peace with each other. So that's a call for, faith, which is where we are going to now. Do you know the substitutes for aspects of the situation are the witnesses to your lack of faith? What does that mean? Your substitutes, in other words, I come up with every reason to believe something isn't working other than my lack of faith. I come up with every reason why something isn't going right other than it's my lack of faith. I substitute aspects of the situation. That's what I'm doing. I'm not really saying what the situation really is. I'm substituting aspects of the situation. So the Course says, now let's get to the bottom of it. He says, you don't believe the situation and the problem are in the same place. The situation that you're going through and the problem that you're having is in the same. I'm in this situation, I'm having a problem. Situation and problem in the same place. I'm in this relationship, I'm having a problem. I'm dealing with a health issue, I got a problem. I'm dealing with a financial issue. Well, the problem and the situation are in the same place. Now, would you like to know what the problem is? The Course in Miracles says, let me tell you what the problem is. 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 The problem was your lack of faith. Well, the reason why you still have that relationship problem is your lack of faith. The reason why you still have that financial problem is your lack of faith. The reason why you have that, any problem that you have, in any kind of way that you think that you have the problem in, that problem will always ultimately go back to you don't have faith in the truth. You don't have faith in the truth. You don't have faith in the truth. So the problem was the lack of faith, and you demonstrate the problem was a lack of faith when you remove the problem from its source and place the problem elsewhere. In other words, if you think the problem is something that it's not, then you won't see the problem. If you think the problem is the reason why your stove isn't on is because somebody has the TV on upstairs and that's not the problem, as long as you think that's the problem, you won't see what the real problem is, which is the refrigerator's unplugged. So anytime you have any problem that you haven't been able to solve, anytime you have any relationship situation or problem situation that you have not been able to solve, I'm going to tell you, would you like to know why you still have that problem? The reason why you still have that problem, whatever that problem is, but the reason why you still have that problem, no matter what that problem is your lack of faith in the truth. I know if you said that problem is inflation and they had to lay off on my job, that's not the real reason why you're going through lack right now. So that problem won't be solved because you don't recognize what the problem is. The problem is your lack of faith. 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 Your problem is your lack of faith in the truth. Your problem is not you don't remember the truth and practice it. The problem is you don't remember the truth and you don't practice it. The problem is you're not practicing the truth in that area that you have in that situation, that problem, that conflict in. You're not practicing the truth in that situation that you don't have peace in. You're not practicing the truth in that situation. It's a call for faith. It's a call for faith in the truth. So the Course in Miracles says, hadn't you lacked faith that the problem could be gone? You not only don't see the problem, had you not lacked faith that it could be solved. See, what are you lacking faith in? You're lacking in the faith that the problem can be solved. You don't have faith that your problem can be solved. You don't have faith that your problem can be solved. If you still seem to have the problem, you don't have faith that the problem can be solved. That's why you still have the problem, or the problem would be gone. See, anybody that says they can't understand something that's simple, they're really not being honest. The Spirit is telling us, you keep removing the problem from what's causing the problem. And so you think the problem is other than you. I love that. Here's a line that says, if you take yourself out of the problem, you pretty much guarantee it won't be solved. Because you are the problem. You are the answer. That's so deep. Anytime you're going through anything that you think is being caused by anybody but you make the situation unsolvable. Now you see why people seem to have problems that never end? Don't you see how that's exactly the way the world thinks, that the problem is everybody else and everybody else needs to change, so therefore we see the result of that attitude, which is the world we already live in. That's what the voice always says to me. You already know what it's like to believe in guilt. You already know what it's like to believe in sin. You already know what it's like to believe that you're not enough, or insecure, or separate. You already know what it's like to believe you're bodying the aches and pains that go. He said you already know those things. You've already given fear a shot. You all have already given, what would it be like to live in a world where everybody thought they were different and separate from each other? That's the world we live in. Do you see that? We're living in a world full of people who think they're different and separate, but we're also living in a world with a lot of fear and chaos. So the Course in Miracles saying, shouldn't y'all by now put that together? So I'm just asking you basically to think the opposite of the way the world thinks. That's what this book is saying. I want you to do it but in the way you think. So it tells us step by step what to do. Hadn't you lacked faith that the problem could be solved, the problem would be gone. And once you know what the problem is, the situation would have been meaningful to you. Why? Because the interference in the way of understanding would have been removed. When you know what the problem is, then you have more understanding of what's going on. If I really know what the problem is between me and you, then it's easier to see the meaning of the situation. So the problem really is the meaning of the situation. It's giving you an opportunity to deal with what is that problem, what is the meaning of that problem, and what is that problem teaching you. So to remove the problem elsewhere keeps the problem. If you say the problem is anything other than what the problem is, you're going to keep the problem. If you think the problem is anything but what the problem really is in your relationship, if you think jealousy is a problem in your relationship, then if you remove the problem from being you changing your mind that would change your jealousy, then you're going to always keep your jealousy. And the best that could happen was your partner would not do things that would make you jealous. But your partner not doing something that would make you jealous is not the same as you getting rid of jealousy. See, a conscious being wants to get rid of the cause of jealousy. An unconscious being who says they're jealous, they just want you to not do the things that make them jealous. So they're not really healing their jealousy at all. So they're keeping the problem because they're not seeing what the real problem is. So they'll still keep their jealousy. So any problem you still have, any pattern that you still have, you still don't recognize what you're doing that's causing it. I don't care what you tell yourself. You can quote every paragraph in the Course in Miracles or any truth book you tell me you study. But as long as you got the problem, I know you haven't recognized the answer yet, and neither have I. So that's why people don't have private thoughts. Because once you learn the truth, it doesn't matter what people say anymore. All you got to do is look, and you'll know exactly where we're at. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like, you can use money as an example. All you got to do is look at your bank account, and you'll know exactly where you're at. But you got to be willing to look at it. You know, so if you have a wrong perception of something, that's when you haven't gotten the solution yet. If that situation is still bothering you and you're still dealing with it, you haven't seen the real solution yet. What is the real solution? Faith. It's a call for faith. It's a call for you to get into the truth deeper than you ever have in your life, to get deep in your relationship to God than you ever have in your life. It's a call for you to really devote yourself to something that's greater than your own little small ego. So the Course in Miracles says to remove the problem elsewhere is to keep the problem. Here's the line I was talking about. For you remove yourself from it and make it unsolvable. You remove you from it, it can't be solved. So you can never say the problem is them. You can never say the problem is them. You can never say the problem is them and truly get rid of the problem. And you can apply that to any world event that's happening right now all over the world. As long as everybody's saying it's them, the problem won't get solved, right? There is no problem in any situation that faith in the truth and holiness will not solve. So in any situation that you're going through right now, there is nothing that faith in the Course in Miracles teachings will not solve. There's not one thing for a Course in Miracles student, for a true Course in Miracles student, that attracted to Course in Miracles because they were going to give themselves situations and circumstances that they intended to be solved by the teachings of the Course in Miracles. That's why they were attracted to the Course in Miracles, because their problems were going to come to them in such a way that it was through the teachings of the Course in Miracles that they would be able to solve their problem the easiest. That's what it means when you say that's my path. That means that's the way you've decided to have answers to the things that come up in your life. So when you have stuff that come up in your life and you don't use what you say your path is and your teaching is, then you are removing yourself from the answer. Because the answer is going to be exactly what you've been studying. Exactly what you've been saying. So the Course in Miracles says there's no problem in any situation that faith in the truth won't solve, but a shift in any aspect of the situation is going to make the solution impossible. If I think it's anything other than a lack of faith, if I think that what I'm going through is anything other than a call for faith, then if you shift part of the problem elsewhere, the meaning of the problem must be lost. When you shift the problem elsewhere, the meaning of the problem must be lost, and the solution to the problem is in the problem's meaning. If the problem has to do with separation, then obviously the solution has to deal with joining. The solution to the problem is in its meaning. So here's a great question. Is it possible that all your problems have been solved, but you removed yourself from the solution? Is it possible that all your problems have been solved, but you removed yourself from the answer? Is it possible that every problem that you think you have has already been solved, but you keep removing yourself from the answer? All your problems have been solved. All of your problems have been solved. All of your problems, Earl. All of your problems, Raj. All of your problems, every problem that you have has been solved. Everything that's bothering you, everything that's troubling you, anything that you think is making you unhappy or sad or depressed, is it possible that all of those problems have been solved, but you keep removing yourself from the answer? You keep taking yourself away from the love. You keep taking yourself away from the peace. You keep taking yourself away from your 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 peace. You keep on taking yourself away from your peace. Is it possible that peace is available to you, but you keep taking yourself away from peace? You keep taking yourself away from peace. You're taking yourself away from the solution. So I love this definition of faith. He says, faith must be where something has been done. I have faith that I can drive a car because I drove over here. My faith is in what's been done. I could be sure that I have faith in driving the car. Why? Because I can drive a car. That's when you know you really got the faith. Because when you really got the faith, you're doing it. Real faith is doing it. That's when you know you have real faith. It's when you're doing it. Like he says, faith must be, it's so simple sometimes you miss it. He says, faith must be where something has been done. And you can see it's been done. So if I have faith and peace, and I'm able to be peaceful around you, even in situations that I would normally get upset, I know I have faith and peace. How do I know I have faith and peace? Because I'm being peaceful. So now I know I really have faith. Faith is where something's been done, and you can actually see it. It's been done. That's when you know you got faith in it, because you're doing it. So if you're not doing it yet, what are your actions when you're not having faith? Well, he says, well, you're not having the faith. That is your call for faith. A bunch of y'all are going to, this is a call for you all to have some faith. It's time for you all to have some faith. You're talking about what's going on in the world today. You're always talking about what's going on in the world today. It's time for you to have some faith. It's time for your faith. Then the man goes, well, how do I do that? How do I have faith in the truth? Well, your number one priority then has to be your peace. You just have to start putting your peace before anything and anybody. Start putting your peace before anything or anybody. Because you cannot give people what you do not have. You cannot give people what you do not have. You cannot give someone what you do not have. You cannot give someone what you do not have. If you have no joy, if you have no joy, if you have no happiness, if you have no peace, then you can't give any happiness and joy and peace to anybody else that you don't have. There's no such thing as a person full of fear and anger and conflict and guilt giving peace to somebody else. But those are the people that's always looking for love. That's what's so funny. The ones who are most fearful are the ones that are calling for love. The problem is they wouldn't recognize love if it smacked them in the face. Because they associate love with fear and conflict and control. And so a truly loving person wouldn't be trying to do any of those things. So they would claim that that person didn't even love them because they weren't being controlled. So they say, you don't care what I do. All right, that's because I love you. So I don't care what you do. I love you. I don't care what you do because I know anything that you do is a lesson that God would have you learn. And I know that it's a call for me to have faith in God in that situation and with you. So, yeah, it's going to look to you like I don't care. But I don't care in the sense that I have total faith in your ability to handle this in a beautiful way that turns out best for you and everybody else. So I'm leaving you alone because I see such power and truth and love in you, not because I don't care. So that was a call for faith. That was a call for the truth. That was a call for me to remember that this book had told me to tell myself everything I just told you. So if you're a Course in Miracles student and you really, really see yourself as a Course in Miracles student, there are two things you are being asked to do with the Course in Miracles. Just two things. Do you know what those two things are? Give it attention and study, is what it says in the book. You're going to have to give the Course in Miracles some attention if you say the Course in Miracles is your spiritual path and you feel drawn to it. You're going to have to give it study if you say you really are a Course. Now, maybe you aren't, but I'm talking to those out there who see this, who will say in a minute, oh yeah, I'm a Course in Miracles student. I studied the Course in Miracles. I'm talking to you jokers, like me. I'm talking to the, yeah, I studied the Course in Miracles. Yeah, well, if you have a problem right now, don't separate the problem from its solution. The problem is you aren't using the faith. You aren't using your faith. You are not using the truth right now. And you think the problem is something other than that. That's the problem. And so that's why the problem is not solved. You keep removing yourself from the problem. You got to believe that everybody's going to play their part in helping you to remember the truth. And that's what happens to me every day. Whether a person is acting crazy or they're acting sane, it reminds me of the Course in Miracles. I immediately think about what the Course in Miracles says you ought to do when you're looking at a person that appears to be crazy. And I remember what it tells me I should do if I'm with somebody that looks like we're cool. You know, it's like, and when you look at it in a loving way, in a peaceful way, a sane way, what happens? You feel peace. You feel peace. It's no way you can use these thoughts and not feel peace. You could not feel peace if you're thinking about using the thoughts. Like you're hearing what I'm saying and you're thinking about using the ideas, which people take a lot of times as meaning they're actually doing it. But all they're really doing is just looking at the idea like a car. What do I like about this idea? What part of this idea fits in with what I already believe, and what part of this idea I'm not in agreement with? So that's not the same as looking at the stool and hearing about how I need to sit on the stool and what would be the benefit to me, looking at who made the stool and was the stool had a Democrat butt on it or a Republican butt on it? Did they have or independent? But the person who's going to get the rest is going to be what? The person that sits on the stool. Just simply do what you're told. And all through the book, Course in Miracles, students, more than any other thing, Jesus of A Course in Miracles says over and over again, remember this, say this. That's all, the whole freaking book. My mind, what did that come from? And who made it? Am I a body? Who made the body? Was mind made the body? Was who? Say this. Say that if you recognize the problem would be solved. And so if you want to get rid of this problem you're having right now, the first thing you need to do is recognize that you don't recognize what the problem is. Just stop right there. Just tell yourself this situation that I'm having a hard time, that I have not been able to solve, I don't recognize what the problem is. Don't even have to worry about, well, what is the answer? Just get this far. Go, I do not recognize the problem, but at least I can decide I don't like what I'm feeling right now. I don't like what I'm feeling about this problem I'm having with you. I don't like this feeling I'm having about this issue I'm dealing with it. So I can do that much. Then I could say, because I'm going to the truth. The truth taught me this. The truth taught me this. The Course taught me. Then I could go, and so I don't like what I'm feeling about you right now, and I don't like what I'm feeling about this right now, and so I hope I've been wrong. I hope I'm wrong about everything I'm telling myself about you right now, because I'm really upset with you, and I'm really afraid of you, and I really don't feel peace with you, and I hope I'm wrong about everything that I'm telling myself about you. I hope I'm wrong about this. I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel, but I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel. I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel. I hope I'm wrong. Don't you dare tell me, nobody out there is listening to me can't do what you're seeing me do. And you can't tell me you couldn't do it today if you wanted to. That's how you know it's an answer that's coming from God, because an answer that comes from God is always something you can do right now. And any answer that you come up with, any solution that you come up with that has to do with your happiness in the future is an answer you just got from your ego, your wrong mind. Only the ego plans for the future based on the past. Anybody that's waking up, they have present trust in the truth function in their life right now. And they go to the truth or the Course or whatever it is all the time, right now. They're not coming up with their schemes for how they're going to take care of themselves more so than they're coming up with, how can I remember how I'm supposed to look at this right now? So I'm supposed to say to myself, I hope I'm wrong. I want another way of looking at this. Perhaps there's another way of looking at this. What can I lose by asking for another way of looking at this? So that's how you handle it. You go, I want another way of looking at this. I hope I'm wrong. I want another way of looking at this. That's just your part. It's not your part to figure out all the things that's going to happen as a result of you doing that. That's the pleasant surprise. It's the way when you finally start practicing the truth. All the cool ways it's going to come into your physical life and give you some physical joys beyond anything you've ever experienced or known before. Because once you start accepting the truth, then the truth and the love starts to come through all of the forms of the world. Because it's all neutral. So I'm going to stop here. Whoa. Man, that feels so good to my mind. When I do the Course in Miracles, it feels so good to my mind to be hearing something that makes me really think, and then it's so kind and so loving. Because it says in the last sentence of that paragraph, there is just one problem. What is the one problem? The belief that we're separate. That's the only problem you have. It's the belief that you're separate from whatever it is that you feel is not happening in your life that you wish were different. Your only problem is you think you're separate from the love. You think you're separate from God. You think you're separate. That's what's causing every problem or worry or concern that you think you have, is your belief that you're separate and different and separate from everything and everybody else. The one problem is you think you're separate. The one problem that causes all your so-called problems is that you believe that you're separate from love. You believe that you're separate from love. You believe that you're separate from love. You believe that you're separate from God. You believe that you're separate from God. You believe that you're separate from God. That idea that you are separate, that is the idea that underlies every single pain, problem, or suffering that you think you have in any way, shape, or form. Whatever you think you're going through that keeps you from being ecstatically happy and grateful right now, it is all rooted in the idea that you think you are separate. That is the one problem. And what the Course in Miracles is teaching us is how to let go of the blocks in our thinking that keeps us from knowing we are one with God. That's why we are doing this. We are doing this so we can get rid of everything that keeps us from having what we want. We are doing this so we can let go of everything that keeps us from having what we really want. We're studying the Course in Miracles so that we can let go of anything that's keeping us from having what we really want. The purpose of the Course in Miracles is to undo the blocks to you having what you really want. So every time you listen to this, that's you having faith. Because you wouldn't come to this unless you thought it could help you. The fact that you don't go to it when you're going through things, that's your way of knowing you do not have faith in the teachings of A Course in Miracles the way you should have faith in the teachings of A Course in Miracles. If it's not the first thing you go to when you think you have a problem and you see yourself as a Course in Miracles student. You're a Course in Miracles, really and truly a Course in Miracles student, and you believe that the Course in Miracles can be helpful to you and get you what you want. If you really believe the Course in Miracles could get you the joy and the peace and the happiness and fun that you want, you would run to it and give it attention and study the minute you have any kind of upset. And you're innocent if you don't. What do you go to when you're most upset and something comes up? What do you go to for solutions and healing? That is what you believe. If the Course is the last thing you pick up, stop telling yourself it's the Course in Miracles that I see as being the thing that's the most helpful to me. It might be a thing you see as helpful to you. But it's not the real thing you believe. The real thing you believe, what's it going to be? It's going to be the thing you do or go to first whenever you're most upset or afraid about something. So that's what you really believe the most. So right now we're having a call for faith. Okay, so I'm going to pass the bag around. If you want to share, that'd be great. I appreciate it. I want to thank you all who have really been writing me and giving me some of the most heartwarming, fulfilling communications about how I've been helpful to you and the benefit that you have been receiving through the course, coming through me, not from me. It blows me away the different parts of the world that I hear from. You know, from villages in Africa to London to you name it. You never know who the Spirit is going to send to you. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, you can go to Zelle or PayPal or the Cash App or Venmo, and my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I'm available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions. If you'd like to find out more about having one-on-one sessions with me, go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com. You'll see my services and you can book an appointment with me right from my website. Thursdays, Hardcore Course in Miracles on Facebook Live, on the Earl Purdy page, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Thursday night, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. I do what I call Hardcore Course in Miracles on Facebook Live. And all my classes are on YouTube, and they're also on Facebook and on my website. You can see classes. I'm just here to be helpful. The Course in Miracles says, you should say, I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent love who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to say. I don't even have to worry about what to do, because love that sent me will direct me. I will be healed. I will be healed as I let Holy Spirit teach me to heal. So I'm healed as I allow myself to be taught how to give you love. I experience love as I allow myself to be taught how to give you love. Okay, so here we go on the Earl Purdy page. I'd like to ask you just to take a breath for just 1 minute, and I just want you to hear this. There is one problem. There is one solution. 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 Mighty companions, call for faith. May the course be with you. Love y'all so much. Thank you for coming. Yay! Yes, as a cast of thousands, I learned that most of my students are invisible.
Or the interwebs.
Yeah. But that's the truth when you start to see the invisible as being as real as the visible. Mwah! Love you so much.